Well, moving on, headlines today is in possession of the guest diary of CBI top boss Ranjit Sinha. This is a Headlines Today exclusive news break, and it shows that he did indeed play host to scam accused. It shows that it is not only the 2G scam accused who have been meeting the CBI Director Ranjit Sinha at his residence, but also the coal scam accused who've been frequent visitors at 2 Janpat. Now, documents show that son of Vijay Darda, Devendra Darda, is a frequent visitor at the house of Ranjit Sinha. Devendra Darda, along with his father, his uncle Rajendra Darda and his cousin, is an accused in the coal scam. Vijay Darda is a member of parliament from Yavatmal, and the role of the Dardas is being investigated by the CBI in the allotment of coal blocks to Nagpur-based businessman Manoj Jaiswal and his other family members. Now, documents in possession of Headlines Today show that Devendra Darda visited the house of Ranjit Sinha on various dates and travelled in cars bearing registration numbers UP14AN7603, MH31 BH4x5 and MH40 M4x5. Now, it is not only Darda who has been a frequent visitor. Others who are under the scanner in the coal scam, like MP Rungta, have also been frequent visitors at the residence of Ranjit Sinha. A visit of a person named Mithilesh has also raised eyebrows. The mysterious person visited the CBI director twice a day, almost on a daily basis. Other interesting visitors is, of course, Moin Akhtar Qureshi and former CBI Director AP Singh. The Income Tax Department had recently found incriminating evidence after a raid against Moin Akhtar Qureshi in major Hawala operations. The role of the former CBI Director AP Singh is also being investigated by the income tax authorities. My colleague Ashish Maharshi and Executive Editor Javed Ansari are live with me in the studio at this point in time. Ashish, I'd like to come to you first. You've managed to access the visitors' diary of the CBI top boss Ranjit Sinha, who's in fact played host at first to representatives of 2G companies, but in this case, he's played host to those directly accused in the Colgate scam.
Very true. In fact, last time when Mr. Ranjit Sinha denied of any wrongdoing, the big question was on why representatives of a Reliance company should actually visit his house.
Right.
Now, but here in this case, Rishika, the accused himself, Devendra Darda, has been questioned in the past. He has been summoned by CBI. Everything has happened. The entire investigation of coal scam, at least in 11 coal scams,
right,
the Dardas were involved with Manoj Jaiswal, and that is the major investigation which is happening. Now, if the accused is visiting the CBI's director's house, then there is a big question mark on why he should visit, because usually the investigating officer is in touch with the accused. Why should the CBI director ask an accused to come to his house? These questions needs to be answered.
Well, absolutely. Some very serious questions there that need to be answered. Javed Ansari, I'd like to bring you in at this point in time and ask you, how do you think the government should respond to these charges, given the fact that this is the head of the premier investigating agency in the country?
Well, the obvious route that the government ought to take and take immediately is to inquire into this, because these are serious charges. Mr. Ranjit Sinha is the CBI director. Ranjit Sinha is on record having rejected these allegations. He's protesting his innocence. At the same time, we have somebody like Mr. Prashant Bhushan who's pressing ahead with these allegations.
Right.
To get to the bottom of the matter, there has to be a thorough and transparent inquiry.
Well, absolutely. A thorough and transparent inquiry is something that definitely needs to be looked into. But Ashish, I'd like to bring you in at this point in time. Take us through this visitor diary list and point us in the direction of some of those very suspicious figures who've in fact featured in that list.
Well, if you see, Rishika, there are 2-3 more names that has to be looked into. One is MP Rungta. He's already under scanner of the CBI in the coal scam, because 3 coal blocks were allocated to Rungta mines. Then apart from that, there is a person called Mithilesh. Now, this Mithilesh is a very suspicious character,
right,
because this man visits at least 2 to 3 times almost on a daily basis at CBI's directors to Janpat.
Right.
Now, this needs to be investigated, why this man is visiting on 2 to 3 times a day. And apart from that, there is an investigation going by the Income Tax Department. It is being done, on Moin Akhtar Qureshi. There are allegations of Hawala transactions by him. He's a meat exporter. But then with him, the role of AP Singh, the former CBI director, is also being investigated by the Income Tax Department.
Right.
And here, importantly, the CBI director had written to the CBDT chairman asking details of the investigation done by...
Ashish, hold that thought. We're just going to come back to that point. Let's listen in for the time being into Congress leader Oscar Fernandez, Fernandez, who has in fact reacted to this entire controversy. Well, we're just going to play out that reaction of Oscar Fernandez. Meanwhile, Ashish, you were making a point, about some of those suspicious people in that list. Go ahead.
Well, in fact, if you see, Income Tax Department is investigating on Mohin Akhtar Qureshi, and with him the role of the former CBI Director AP Singh into a Hawala transaction which began from Dubai and went to UK. Now that is being investigated. The CBI Director had sorted details from the CBDT chairman asking about these investigations, which the CBDT chairman denied giving it. So obviously person who are under suspicion, who are being investigated by other departments, have also been frequent visitors at the house of CBI Director. So these things, obviously, this is not illegal. These people can visit CBI Director's house, but then there is a case of propriety.
Absolutely.
Why should an accused visit? Why people being investigated by other departments or also visiting his house?
Well, that really is the important point that Ashish is making over here, that while these visits are not illegal, it definitely raises a larger question of propriety. We just like to play out the reaction of Congress leader Oscar Fernandez, who's in fact spoken out on this controversy.
विजय डरदा भी आरोपी हैं और उनके लड़के भी कई बार उनसे मिल चुके हैं।
नहीं, अभी मुद्दा सुप्रीम कोर्ट के सामने है। सुप्रीम कोर्ट क्या निर्णय लेंगे वही निर्णय है, सबने मानना पड़ता है
जी।
ठीक
है।
है।
सर क्या वजह हो सकती है कि जो अक्यूज्ड हैं वो उनके घर पे जाके मिल रहे हैं?
नहीं, ये इन्वेस्टिगेशन करना है तो किसने करना? सीबीआई ने करना। सीबीआई इन्वेस्टिगेट करेंगे, रिपोर्ट सुप्रीम कोर्ट को भेज देंगे। सुप्रीम कोर्ट क्या निर्णय करते हैं वो देश का निर्णय है।
सर पर नैतिकता के तौर पे आपको लगता है घर पे तो इन्वेस्टिगेशन वो करते नहीं होंगे?
इसके बारे में मेरे को कोई जानकारी नहीं। हम क्या बोल रहा हूँ, सुप्रीम कोर्ट क्या निर्णय लेंगे ये सारा सुप्रीम कोर्ट का सामने आएंगे। आपने क्या मुद्दा उठाया, ये सुप्रीम कोर्ट का सामने आएंगे। सुप्रीम कोर्ट उसके बारे में क्या निर्णय लेंगे वही निर्णय है।
Javed, I'd like to bring you in here on the reaction of Oscar Fernandez. He seems to be treading with caution there.
Well, indeed he is, but that's everything has to be inquired. There are two sides to this story.
Right.
Mr. Prashant Bhushan is a responsible senior advocate. He's pressing ahead with these charges. My colleague Ashish Mehrishi has done a very good job. He's got evidence in the form of the diary, visitor's diary.
Right.
However, when the CBI director protests his innocence, an inquiry has to be done, because this is something very serious. If indeed he is guilty, then this is very serious business, and government and the courts will perforce take cognizance of it.
Right. Earlier we also spoke with Kamini Jaiswal, senior Supreme Court lawyer, who'd in fact spoken with us a short while ago reacting to this entire controversy. Let's listen into what she had to say.
I think it's as clear as daylight what is happening. This director must go. People have been talking all along as to what is going on. What we are being accused of is that we are trying to demolish the premier investigating agency. What is the head of the premier investigating agency doing? Meeting with the accused or proposed accused or named accused. Who is going to investigate now? How do we prove that he did not show favors? We will be able to. That will only be after the investigation. The whole thing has to be gone into by a high-powered committee. No, how is it legal for a proposed accused who are under scanner to be meeting the head of the department which is investigating them?
Right, Ashish, in fact, I'd like to bring you in here. Kamini Jaiswal there demanding the sacking of the CBI top boss, and also saying that, a special investigation should in fact be launched in this particular matter. Now, given the fact that there is evidence of representatives of 2G companies, now coal scam accused, and also those being investigated for Hawala transactions, do you think this makes for a case for a special investigation?
Well, in fact, because CBI Director is heading the premier investigating agency,
right.
And in fact, if we ask CBI to investigate, that will not be the right path. A special investigation team should be the need of the hour, but then it is the Supreme Court's take, because the entire matter, whether it is 2G or coal scam, it is being investigated under the purview of the Supreme Court. And then the Supreme Court has to take a take on whether a special investigation team should investigate it or not. But then certainly, what is required is at least a forensic inquiry, and people at the gate of 2 Janpat of CBI Director's house need to be questioned on why, on whether this diary is it authentic or not, whether people who came there, is it their own handwriting or not. These things still need to be investigated.
Right. Clearly, this is a story that we're going to continue to track very closely. We're going to continue to track developments. We're going to continue to bring political reactions to this Headlines Today exclusive all day. Ashish Maharshi and Javed Ansari, thank you so much for joining us with that perspective.